We've just had our very first look at some gameplay and more details into Call of Duty World War II. And this is 2017's iteration of Call of Duty, going back to World War II and being developed by Sledgehammer Games. Their last game that they worked on was Advanced Warfare. So as you can see, this is quite a big difference here, not only for the studio but also for the franchise. Now, there was just a live stream on where they showed the trailer for the first time, and naturally they waffled on a bit about the game and some behind the scenes stuff, but there was also plenty of details in there into the multiplayer and single player and co-op aspects of the game. So as I was watching the stream, I made lots of notes, and I'm going to be reporting that to you now without all the fluff. So if you're interested in Call of Duty World War II, especially the multiplayer, then listen up, as I've got a lot to share here. So apparently this year the premise is taking the Call of Duty franchise back to boots on the ground gameplay, and you're going to hear this phrase way too many times this year. It looks like COD and Activision are really trying to push this boots on the ground mentality to get away from the kind of stigma that's built up now around exosuits and jetpacks and wall running. After Infinite Warfare last year, it was obvious that the Call of Duty fan base was kind of getting sick of all of that. So now we've gone back to World War II gameplay. Don't worry, it's not an alternate history version of World War II. It looks like this is a deep and respectful and adult journey into World War II. So then, multiplayer details. What they said is that this COD is going to be grounded with fast action gameplay, and it's going to have a core Call of Duty experience that puts the emphasis on rewarding gun skill and strategy. So does that mean no kill streaks, or maybe they've toned the kill streaks back? We'll have to wait and see, I guess. There's going to be a wide variety of weapons in here from Allied and Axis forces. Obviously World War II had loads of weapons that soldiers used to fight each other. Some examples that they gave were the M1 Garand, that's the one that goes ping, the STG-44 assault rifle, the MG-42 machine gun, come on, it wouldn't be a World War II game without one of those, and then of course you've got sniper rifles like the M1903, and you can use that with scopes or iron sights, the 45 caliber grease gun if you kind of prefer spray and pray, and also of course we saw in the trailer a massive flamethrower. In terms of maps and locations, Normandy, that's kind of obvious, and because the game takes place in the European theatre only, and it's going to be set between 1944 and 1945, that means that we're going to get to see iconic battles such as D-Day, Herken Forest, urban combat in France and Belgium, and then eventually a push towards Germany. So it sounds like all of those things that we'll get in the single player will be locations as well in the multiplayer. Now, one thing that was kind of interesting to me was they were hinting a little bit towards class-based gameplay, although they didn't actually say those words. But an article online has revealed that players do not recover health or ammo automatically, and it doesn't make it clear if that's just in the single player or in multiplayer, because that's going to be a big change for the COD franchise, especially after the last 10 years or so. So it means that if you get hit or you need ammo, then you're going to have to look to squad mates to drop ammo for you or health packs to regain some health. Now, once again, they didn't clarify if that was just single player or if that was in multiplayer, but that's very interesting to me. And there's also more on class-based stuff, which we'll talk about in a little while. So at E3, we're going to see lots more multiplayer action and some proper multiplayer gameplay, and the game is actually going to be playable there for fans and public. Now, I am attending E3, so fingers crossed if I can manage to get a slot for myself and actually play the game. That would be fantastic to bring you guys some hands-on impressions and hopefully some capture if that's on offer. There's also going to be melee combat in the game, and once again they put an emphasis on this, so I don't think it's going to be as simple as it normally is in COD, where you just press the thumbstick in or whatever button it is on PC and you can just do a quickly one-hit kill stab. It looks like that they've gone deeper into the melee system here. They did go into a few gameplay modes and specifics as well. There's a new gameplay mode called War, very original title there, and this is an asymmetric Allies versus Axis game mode where you cap and defend objectives, and it's going to be narrative driven, and you'll take part in iconic World War II battles in multiplayer with teams fighting for strategic objectives. So for example, Normandy, one side will start on the beach and they're storming the beach, and the other side, I'm presuming the Axis, if they're historically correct, will be defending from the bunkers. Now, with this game mode being titled War, I expect it to be more than 16 players, and with it being asymmetrical and capping and defending flags, is this going to be Call of Duty's version of Conquest perhaps, where we see lots more players in a single game? We shall see. Definitely sounds interesting to me, that one. The game will also have divisions, and this will allow players to enlist in a specific unit of their choice, and that will allow you to take on infantry, airborne or armoured divisions. It could be that those are some of the classes in the game maybe, because, and this is what I was talking about earlier, this division thing is actually going to impact your multiplayer progression. They didn't specify how that would happen, but I'm assuming that whichever role you pick kind of has an impact on your character or your class in game. And they also went into something called headquarters, and they showed like a little glimpse of it where the camera pans over the top of a bunker and there's about 30 or 50 players running around on a beach. And this is going to be a living space where players and fans of the game can kind of connect, socialize, show off and be rewarded outside of matches. So it's kind of like a social hangout, I suppose, in a similar way that the social areas are in Destiny. With this being an Activision game, maybe they push for something like that. So lots of players running around, and it's a social space where you can kind of build a community and don't have to worry about fighting each other all the time, and provide a way to reward and compete and be recognized and show off and just be social. And that's something that's never really been in a COD game before, like a live social space. So I'm interested to see how that pans out in reality. The game will also have a co-op mode. I suppose while we're talking about multiplayer, we also might mention this. And they showed a picture of a Nazi zombie. Now, I don't know if they're going for the typical Nazi zombie wave-based experience here, because they kind of pitched it as the Nazi zombie mode in Call of Duty World War II is an entirely new story experience, which is a horror game, which is really weird. But apparently Nazi zombies, and the story revolves around the Third Reich's attempt in desperation to create an undead army in the final stages of the war, when they kind of realized that they were going to lose. So it's desperate science and cultism, that kind of thing. And also, in terms of multiplayer, the last thing that I'll mention, the PlayStation relationship is going to continue with COD. So obviously Sony and PlayStation have some kind of exclusivity there still. There is going to be a private beta for the game, and you'll be playing it first on PlayStation 4. And of course, during this live stream, they also revealed single player and campaign details, and the campaign revolves around an American unit called the 1st Infantry Division, otherwise known as the Bloody First, and the main character in the game is called Red, and he's a young recruit that's seeing action for the first time in Normandy, and he's got like his best friend there called Zeusman, who's a Jewish American private, and he's going to join him in the European theatre. They got some big actors in for this as well, like Josh Duhamel is starring in the game, and he's playing as the kind of dickish sergeant, I think, and he starts off kind of mission before man, but then has to question, you know, is it the other way around? And apparently the story is very historically accurate, and like I said, it goes through those iconic World War II moments like the Battle of the Bulge, the liberation of Paris, the Rhine in 1945, Hürtgen Forest with all the trees exploding, and the dev team took a lot of inspiration from Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers here, and it's about the camaraderie and friendship that they kind of form throughout their march through Europe. We will also see British and French in the game. We're going to get Major Crowley from SOE. He's a UK intel officer who earned medals early on in the year, and also a female character called Rousseau, who's the female leader of a French resistance unit. And also we'll get to meet an African American platoon in the game and show what their experiences were like and how they were treated too. In terms of art direction for the game, they've gone with dark and beautiful. That's a key phrase that they use there, and they want people to have a deeper emotional reaction to the game. This is very adult game, kind of introducing World War II to a new audience. If you weren't around for the initial barrage of Saving Private Ryan and World War II games like 10 to 15 years ago. But they're saying that if you know a lot about World War II and you already experienced those World War II games and movies and TV series, then they've got a lot of new stuff in here as well. Apparently they use Marty Morang, who's a well-known World War II history buff, and he's been working on the game for the last 2 years and helping them kind of uncover all of the juicy details. The game uses photogrammetry techniques as well as motion capture. Graphically it looked quite good, but I think you could kind of see some of those very scripted Call of Duty moments that the series just can't seem to get away from. So there we have it, that's our first look at Call of Duty World War II. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Obviously we don't really have that many details right now, and it's going to be at E3 that they really show the multiplayer for the first time and we can see how the game actually looks and plays. You know, is this going to be a bit more hardcore and immersive, let's say, or is it going to stick to the very casual arcadey run and gun nature that Call of Duty has always relied on? I'm interested. With it being World War II and going back to that, this could be promising to go back to that era. But I think for a lot of people, they kind of feel like World War II has just been done into the ground. Overall, from the reveal stream that they've just done, nothing really surprised me, to be honest. They're not really touting about any massively innovative features or new stuff for the franchise or a new engine or anything like that. It all does seem very middle of the road and what everyone was expecting. And perhaps they're relying on the World War II angle a bit too much, but I definitely love to see what the gameplay is like and if they can bring back boots on the ground, I hate saying that, gameplay that the COD series in COD 1, 2, COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2 managed to pull off so well. Perhaps I've just kind of grown out of that style of live, kill, rinse, die, repeat gameplay, which isn't very dynamic, but I'm cautiously optimistic about this one, and I'm really gonna hold back my judgments until I've played it myself and we can see exactly what kind of gameplay is on offer here. We'll see. I'm definitely going to be following along and capturing gameplay, giving you guys some impressions when I can get hands on. Like I said, let me know your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.